What's going on, Shredders? It's your old pal, Uncle Shred Riffs, and in this video, what I'm going to do is give you my top 4 presets for the Positive Grid Spark 40. You're definitely not going to want to miss this one. But this tone is just meant for just brutal metal, so it sounds like this. Alright guys, so about a year ago, I got a Positive Grid Spark 40 amp, and I feel like I was kind of late to the game getting into this line of amplifiers, and anybody that watches my channel knows that I'm a huge fan of the Yamaha THR, which I have right here. It's a fantastic amp, but it's a little expensive, and this amp I find to be more affordable and also still sounds incredible. I actually got this pearl white Spark 40 from Sweetwater for around 200 bucks. It was an open box amplifier, so I feel like I got a great deal on it. If you're looking for a great practice amp, I would just say look no further than the Spark series amps. They're just incredible. There's smaller, even more affordable versions of this amp, but I think the 40 watt one or even the new 50 watt Spark 2 is probably the best way to go if you're looking for a great practice amp. So as I mentioned earlier, I have dozens of videos on the Yamaha THR series. There's all kinds of tone videos that I've made with that amp, but I figured it was time to make a tone video for this amp. So in this video, I'm gonna be sharing the exact tones that I use when I practice on this little amp every single day. It's a great amp. And I feel like I've been able to make some tones that cover a lot of ground. We got pristine, clean, low to medium overdrive crunch tone, high gain shred, and just a full-on metal chug channel. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, let's get into doing a little bit of tone crafting, if you will. So let me just really quick go over the setup that I have here. My Positive Grid Spark 40 is right behind me. It's mic'd up with a Shure SM57 to kind of give you the close mic sound. And then I'm also running a room mic. So I'm using like a Sennheiser boom style microphone, shotgun mic, just picking up the room sound because I feel like these amps are made to be played in a room. And if you want a kind of an accurate representation of what I'm hearing when I'm sitting and practicing, that room mic is going to kind of represent that for you. So I figured it would be a good idea to set that up so you can hear that. Okay, so when it comes to tone crafting, if you will, I recommend starting with the amp, okay? I don't care if you're using a digital setup, if you're using a tube setup of some sort, but I always recommend starting with the amp itself and making a tone on there first. So get the amp dialed in first, and then start messing around with all of the other gadgets and gizmos and pedals and things like that. So, you know, take that advice for what it is. So for my first tone, I'm going to be making a crystal clear, pristine, kind of Fendery clean tone with no breakup, okay? So I want this to be a tone that I can practice chords, rhythm guitar playing, intervals, triads, and just things of that nature. So for this tone, I'm using the Black Duo, which is like a blackface Fender style amplifier. And I think this is like the best sounding clean amp that Positive Grid has for the Spark. So the first thing in the signal chain is actually a noise gate. Now, you really don't need this, but I like the sound to be perfectly silent in between chords and in between playing. So I have it set up with a really low threshold just to get any kind of like light bulb sound that's in the room or any kind of weird sound that might be present. Any kind of strange sound that could be happening from the pickups or whatever is going to be silenced by this noise gate. So after that, I've got the red comp, which is adding a little bit of sustain and boosting the output a little bit. That's what that's for. Sensitivity's up pretty high. And then I'm using like a simple clean boost. Feel free to drop in whatever kind of overdrive pedal or whatever in there if you want to, but I found that this one was the best for that, just like crystal clear clean. Like I said, we've got the Black Duo. After that, I've got a little bit of chorus happening. And you can kind of dial this into your taste. But I just want a little bit of that chorus on, not much. Okay, that's kind of my taste. Also have a delay pedal here that I usually keep off because when I'm practicing, I don't want the delay to be getting in the way, but you know, feel free to turn this guy on and have some fun with it. There's a lot of different modes and, you know, different, you know, interesting things you can kind of play around with here. So I think it's cool that they have a specific BPM that you can set up with the delay, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. And then last, I've got the reverb, just a hall reverb. So you can of course turn that up. So there you go. That is my crystal clear clean tone. Next up, I have kind of a medium gain to low gain amplifier. I'm using the AC Boost, which is like a Vox style amplifier. I thought that this tone sounded awesome, and this is what I use for lower gain improvisation, blues guitar playing, and it kind of sounds like this. So you could think of it as like a hot rod kind of blues sound. So once again, you know, start with the amp. I've got the gain right about there. You know, you can see my settings for the amplifier. And then it's pretty much the same as it was for the clean amp. Little bit of noise gate on, compression. This time I'm using the Tube Screamer overdrive, this green guy here. So I've got a decent amount of overdrive dialed in, and then the level is cranked to kind of give you that classic push in the front end of the amp kind of tone. I think this sounds awesome, man. If you don't like that much gain, you can always, you know, dial the gain back and set that up a little bit differently. But I'm really happy with this tone, and I use it for when I'm playing something that isn't full-on shred. And we'll get to the full shred here in just a moment. So I have this like flanger pedal. I have this pedal set up just for fun. Okay, I just kind of threw that in there. I also have a delay pedal set up here that I'm using for just kind of like a slapback sound, and it sounds like this. So I think that sounds killer. It's a little bit hot rodded for like a blues sound, but you know, feel free to dial this tone in however you'd like to. And then last, I've got the chamber reverb, which is just a different kind of sounding reverb from the other one on the clean channel. This is a great sounding reverb. So there you go. That is my crunch tone. All right, guys. So for the third tone, I'm going to be honest with you. This one is a little bit dangerous. This is my high gain shred tone. This is what I use for just lead guitar. It works great for, you know, metal leads, fusion guitar leads. It's just a killer sounding lead guitar tone that I'm really happy with. So for this one, I'm using the Insane amp. Okay, not to be confused with the Insane mode on the Line 6 stuff. But this is like an EVH style amp. I've got a decent amount of gain set up. I've got the bass rolled almost all the way down. I kind of found that this particular amp is pretty dang boomy when it comes to this particular model. But another option would be maybe checking out the YJM 100. After all, I am playing a Malmsteen Strat in this video. So I have used that amp in the past, but I found that I liked the sound of the Insane amp better. After that, I've got a little cloner pedal here. I'll be honest, I like never use that, but it's there if I want to turn it on. But let's go check out the front of the amp and how I have that set up. Once again, I've got the noise gate dialed in. I have it dialed in so that it doesn't clip off any notes. If I turn the noise gate off, listen to how loud, you know, like we're running a lot of gain here, guys. So definitely having the noise gate on, I think is crucial. After that, I've got the red comp once again. It was the best sounding compressor that I could find on the Positive Grid platform here. And I've got it up a little bit higher, the lower sensitivity, boosting the output just a little bit. And then after that, I've got the green Screamer tube drive, whatever you want to call this thing, kind of set up how it was on the last amp, but with a little bit more treble this time around. Moving to the back of the amp, we've got the cloner, as I mentioned a bit ago, and we've got some digital delay. There you go. There's a little bit of shred for you. And then I'm using a plate reverb for this one, just kind of mix it up a little bit. I like this one because it is a lot simpler sounding and a little bit cleaner sounding for when you're playing a more high information type guitar stuff. You know, you're shredding a lot of notes. You don't want the reverb to be too in the way. So there you go. That is my super shred tone. All right, guys. So for the fourth and final tone, we are going to use another insane amplifier model on here. This one is like the PV 5150 style amp, the original 5150, 6505. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about when we're talking about this amp. But this tone is just meant for just brutal metal. So it sounds like this. So it just totally crushes. Really, it's set up very similar to the last tone. A little bit more compression, a little bit lower overdrive on the Tube Screamer, a little bit more gain, actually, this time around. Maybe less gain. But I was just going for a really dry sound. But I do like to have just a little bit of reverb kind of on the tail there that you can hear. And I have that there because it just makes practicing a little bit more exciting. It makes it a little bit more fun when there is reverb on. I can turn it off and show you what that sounds like, though. So you put the reverb on and you've got a little bit more live kind of sound. So there you go. That is my metal tone. Yo guys, thank you so much for checking out this video on the tones that I have on my Spark 40. I would love to hear what you guys thought of these tones, and I'd love for you to direct me into any realm, any place that might have even better tones. I'd love to hear from you guys. Something that I'm noticing about my channel is that most people that watch my videos and leave a comment are actually not subscribed. So if that's you, please subscribe to the channel. If you're into guitar stuff, there's lots more exciting videos to come. Once again, thank you so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.